A new season for the Limit of Adhesion Endurance series is upon us, and with that, welcome from Road America for the season opener. New season, new cars, no rules. We ditched the GT3s for now, and we welcome LMP3s and the GT4 cars. But this is not the only change. Of course, mentioning this, we now have a multi-class race as a result, which means we will have two races happening at the same time. So I'm really looking forward to see how this will affect everything. Also, one big thing I have to mention is the fact that the races are no longer 60 minutes long. No. We have increased it to 90 minutes. So more action for us. And the rule setters for the Limit of Adhesion decided to set the fuel levels in a way that everyone should, and I use the word should, get 2 pit stops per race. So this could get really interesting. Lots of traffic, lots of meetups between GT4s and LMP3s. But enough talk. First things first, let's jump over to our drivers to see how the qualifying went, because they are ready to race. And look at all those fabulous cars. You almost cannot spot the very last car at the end of that long starting grid. Little quirk with the iRacing replay management, the slower GT4 class is set as class A, which is why we see them in the overlays, spoiler alert, in front of the faster LMP3. A bit confusing if you ask me, but it is what it is. Meanwhile, you already see the starting grid happening. Maybe you spot your favorite driver, you already have spotted him, or maybe he is further down than you hoped, or he's an LMP3 driver. You will see in a few moments. But we have well over 20 cars for both classes, which is an amazing way to start the season for the Limit of Adhesion Endurance series. 25 GT4s. Spoiler, it's only 24 because there was a problem and no participation from Steve Pepper after all. So 24 GT4s and 23 LMP3s. So a huge field, and more on the quirks between the cars as the race goes on. They are now driving towards the start of the race to start their season here at Road America, as we are almost done with the qualifying. Intro, the starting grid. Just one more roll and then it's about to go racing, ladies and gentlemen. And we are already in the final corner, so the race is about to begin. We see the front running LMP3s, the safety car is gone, and now we see them accelerating, the GT4s as well, and Limit of Adhesion Endurance is on. 24 GT4s, 23 LMP3s. And we already have one of them going off in turn 1. Not the start you want to have if you are the driver in question. We have quite a bit gap now. The GT4s are starting as well, but you can see there is a LMP3 in the back, so this could already cause a bit of chaos. Speaking of chaos, Rich Meesters spinning around turn 1. Not the race start you want. I think I said the exact same words moments ago for the LMP3 driver that went into the gravel. Stephen Greening, speaking of gravel, gets a little love tap from behind. and into the gravel with him as well. So yeah, what can we expect out of those 90 minutes? 45 laps for the LMP3 class and 40 laps for the GT4 class. There's a lap time gap of roughly, let's say, 18 seconds on this track. So LMP3s and GT4s will meet each other a lot. But this is to be expected. And we have contact. This is car number 80. Ooh, bigger contact. And already back to the pits with him. Remember, we have to talk about the rules. And one of those rules we are talking about now. Every driver gets one fast repair per race. I mean, the tow time is still there, so Hogevain will lose a lot of time, but at least the damage will be repaired. So there is a chance to come back, but it is really, really difficult. If we take a look at the map, we can see that the LMP3 that started in the very back has finally cleared the GT4 class. Ryan Gibbert, P22 in the GT4s in a BMW. Of course, the GT4s have many different cars. We have BMWs, Fords, McLarens, and Aston Martins in the field, Porsche. I hope I have not forgot anyone. I think these are the cars we will have in the field this time around. Oh, lock up there, number 54, Sebastian Boivi, and even more contact. Big crash there. 1, 2, 3 cars, 4, 5 cars involved. At least 2 with damage from that. But yeah, well over 40 cars, we can expect chaos. And remember, I said the LMP3 has cleared the field after a few incidents. Take a look where the last LMP3 that is not in the pits is. Right there with the GT4s. Henry Shepard, P17, driving a Ford Mustang. In front of him is Matt Pierce in the Porsche. Jack Davis and Gavin Kelly. One thing I mentioned earlier, already a lot of gravel there on track. Due to the slower class being classed as Class A, they are also the higher position class in the overlay. It is confusing if you ask me, but it is what it is. We will get around it. Oliver Ettridge, P4, gained 1 position from the start. We see lots of movement in the LMP3 class. Meanwhile, the GT4 class, at least at the front, pretty stable. The top 6 where they qualified. Ooh, Justin Maurice Weisbecker into the wall in turn 1, and this car looks not fun to drive as a result. Ollie Ettridge dives to the inside of Zachary Liebold, who loses 1, 2, maybe 3 positions as a result. Joao Tomei losing the car in turn 5. Yeah, the LMP3, it is... Watch out with your rejoin now. And another car, Thomas Bruin. Where was this? Final corner. And it is pretty dented there in the front. Hopefully he can still drive. But yeah, since this is the first race of a new season with new cars, new settings and everything, it will take some time for everyone to get used to them. Clément Godet, he is leading a train of BMWs, no, behind and a McLaren. 1, 2, 3 BMWs in that train. Clément got a bit wide, so James Ellis has a prime opportunity to get P6. Shepard! There was contact, and now he looks in the wrong direction, but Luckily, no further contact. Isaac Mitchell, P4, and David Wardy Ward in P5. But yeah, since the GT4s, we talked about it last season in the GT3 class as well. Different cars within the class means different pros and cons per car. One car may be a bit better in acceleration, one car may be a bit better in top and speed, other car better in slow corners, other car better in fast corners. You get the deal with it. So not only do you have to know where the strengths and weaknesses of your car lie, you always have to know the cars around you. Maybe they break a bit sooner than you expect, so you have to be ready for this. John Duncan, final car in the top 10 for the LMP3s, under pressure from James Pepper, had a quick little look on the inside, but there was no space to overtake. I think we have settled in a little bit. We can already tell by the minimap in the top right that the LMP3 field is pretty spread out. Meanwhile, the GT4s somewhat together, but the LMP3s, look at the gaps between them already. Neil Todd and Ryan Gibbert. Neil Todd driving with an illness, so kudos for trying to participate in a 90-minute race. Currently in P19, which would mean 2 championship points. Ben Stutting, this is not the perfect place to park your car. Turn 12, losing lots of time, dropping down to 15, maybe even 16 in the LMP3 class. But yeah, with all those cars, we expect chaos, we expect missing out on a lot simply because there are so many battles happening at the same time. So if your move of the race is not being shown, blame the camera tool, is all I want to say. Let's take a look at the gaps, starting with the LMP3s. Lukas Sipua is leading 0.8 seconds, but then already big gap to P3. Meanwhile, in the GT4s, we have Michael Hanswijk leading 1.3 seconds in front of Matt Hansel and Mike R. Murphy. Triple M in the top 3, so to speak. 3 different cars also in the top 3, which is nice. Shows you that the overall balance of performance works. I would be worried if like the top 6 were all BMWs. I mean, yes, we have 5 of them in the top 10 at the moment, but I think the BMW is also the most used car. Let me take a quick look at my cheat sheet. Yes, the most icons I see are BMWs. So it is expected that we see quite a lot of them up front. Clayton McBullough behind John Cook. They know each other very well. And behind him is John Duncan, who he also knows pretty well. Bartosz Piasecki, P4, Poland in 1 and 4 in the LMP3. Meanwhile, we also have a Polish driver in the GT4s, and that is Marcin Rejewski, currently not visible on our overlay, so he's between 13, 14 or 15. I wish I could show you all drivers at once, but 48 cars, 47 to be fully honest, because Steve Pepper is not driving. Oh, car goes wide there. Oliver Ettridge losing P3. But yeah, I could put every car on the side, but then we would have a font size of like 5, which is probably not the ideal way to follow it. So we set things up that we always see the top 10 of each class. Isaac Mitchell is looking for P3 against Mike Murphy, wants to split up the triple M combination leading the GT4 class. And when we see, for example, a car in P15, we will see the two cars in front and the two cars behind. So we always know how they do. Are they in a battle? Is it close? All that wonderful stuff. Isaac Mitchell at the moment feels as if he can go a bit faster. The power of the BMW goes to the inside of Mike Murphy. David Wardy Ward is watching on. And now we have the interesting situation that we have 3 McLarens in 4, 5 and 6. Gareth Winslade P12, and now we have the prime example that the overlay extends to the region where we are looking. P13, Gareth Winslade, P12, Marcin Rejewski, I talked about him earlier in P14. Strong field overall here for the limit of Adhesion endurance race number 1. You can see it on the average strength of field for both classes, pretty similar. GT4 class a teeny tiny bit stronger on average, but overall strong field, hard to participate, so a top 10 finish means a lot in both classes, if you ask me. Since this is now a multi-class series as well, here we have a prime example of what I wanted to talk about. We will meet cars with a lot of pace difference. For example, the LMP3 can fly through the carousel, that long right-hander. Meanwhile, the GT4s are so understeery there, have to be patient with the throttle and everything. I mean, look how they are flying there, the LMP3s. But yeah, what I wanted to talk about originally are the 2 golden rules of multi-class racing. We start with the slower class, the GT4. If you're getting overtaken by a faster class car, rule number 1, be predictable. Be predictable. So no late line change. Make it clear that you want them to go to the in or outside, depending on the situation. And the golden rule number 1 for the faster class, be safe. Remember that Oliver Ettridge goes for P4. Meanwhile, there's traffic in front of him in the form of GT4s. Yeah, a late dive, probably not the smartest idea. Maybe once, maybe twice, but over 90 minutes will put you in danger. Gareth Winslade under heavy pressure at the moment. Also here we have a prime example. We have 3 LMP3s fighting for positions. Meanwhile, they have to manage traffic. Of course, you can lose time or win time in that situation, but you don't win the race in the first 15 minutes. There is enough time for the race to come back to you. Rich Meesters into the back of Neil Todd, losing 1-2 positions in the meantime. And Winslade still hanging on for P12. And now we have an LMP3 and 2 GT4 side by side. You can see the GT4 stays super far to the outside, showing I give you more than enough room. Prime example of what I'm... Ooh, little contact there! Big more contact! Jack Davis and Timon Slutz. This was after the carousel. Speaking about contact, Aaron Denker Same position, only difference it was a GT4 and not an LMP3 on LMP3 contact as we've seen with Slutz and Jack Davis. Still standing after the carousel, you can see it on the minimap. Matt Pierce, Neil Todd, Ryan Gibbard, 19, 20, 21. Remember, the top 20 get points for each class. So there is a difference in getting a point or not, depending where you are in this battle of 3. Blake Tovey, also involved in this battle for P12. Gareth Winslade still holding on to that P12. "17 minutes into the race. Bruno Gaiotto we have in P7. Oh, no longer in P7! Big impact, and now, watch out, goes, makes the room free, and now he has to wait. Too eager on the throttle, spins the car, and P7 is gone for a driver that has shown amazing pace! Aaron Denker and Thomas Bruin. Aaron Denker just had an incident a lap ago. But yeah, LMP3 and GT4, two totally different cars. And both have to be mindful at all time. Multi-class racing is stressful. To finish my sentence about Bruno, we have seen him in the other two LoA series, the Prime and the Sprint. In both he participated quite nicely, but now this was a costly mistake. Alex Murphy, fastest lap of the race is his at the moment, chasing Łukasz Sipua. David Wardy Ward still in P5. Isaac Mitchell tries to get away from Mike Murphy. Ewan Topley and Michael Poole, the only Aston Martin in the field. Ewan Topley chasing him at the moment. Clement Godet behind James Ellis has a bit of a gap to John Cook, 1.7 seconds. Speaking about gaps, there is a massive gap in the LMP3 class between 2 and 3. 8 seconds to be precise. Similar story, even though not that extreme yet, in the GT4 class. 6 seconds between P2 and P3. Henry Shepard, first GT4 not in the points. There's a gap developed between Neil Todd and I think it was... who was it? Who was in front of him? Wasn't Chris Forrester? No, it wasn't Chris Forrester. Either way, Matt Pierce, I believe. And Gareth Winslade, now he loses the position, maybe even 2. Yes, he does. Went a bit wide in turn 5. And as a result lost 2 positions to a BMW and a Ford Mustang. But he was holding on quite nicely until that mistake. Clayton McBullough, P9 behind John Cook. John Duncan still pretty close. Has a bit of a gap to James Pepper of 1.1 seconds. Good exit by Clayton McBullough. Goes to the outside for the next corner. This is for P8. John Cook defends the inside. There's also an LMP3 who has to be mindful. Because yes, you are the faster car. And you want to go by quick. But if they are fighting in front of you, sometimes you just have to wait. The slower class is all right to fight out and duke it out for positions as well. David Ward chasing James Ellis lost a position early on. James Ellis gained 5 positions since the start of the race, the most in the top 10 for the GT4s. We see lots of movement in the LMP3s. We see a plus 11 and plus 12 for Gavin Kelly and Thomas Goebbels from the Netherlands, so I would assume it's Goebbels, but maybe I can get corrected for future races there. Gareth Winslade getting passed by an LMP3. I talked about the rules that we will see: 2 pit stops per car, which opens up the possibility. Do you fill up the car in both stints to the brim and just splash for the finish, or do you say, you know what, I will drive a bit off cycle, come into the pits 2-3 laps sooner, maybe get clean air and overtake you that way? Interesting to see how our drivers will tackle this. McBolla still close to John Cook. P8 would be a fantastic finish. As I mentioned, strong field, a top 10 finish in both classes would be remarkable for every driver. Thomas Bruin sliding into... Big impact. Big impact. Ooh, that was close with the LMP3, and he ports back rather quickly, but that was a close call. Mike Murphy wants to back in the top 3 and maybe start the chase of Hansweig and Hansel. But first he has to beat Isaac Michelin. That is one tough nut to crack. Isaac Michelin, high quality driver, and he won't make it easy for him. The gap between the 2 leading LMP3s has increased a little bit. Blake Tovey now chasing P12. Wants to get past Blake Tovey, another high quality driver, gained 4 positions since the start of the race. High I rating as well, 4,600. But you know, I rating isn't always everything. Now Blake Tovey on the inside, this looks good. Looks clean, has the inside, is in front. And gets it done. Maybe Gareth Winslade can get a sniff at the BMW now that overtook him not too long ago. Maybe we can see more of this. But I like to see that. Mike Murphy, McLaren versus BMW. We see 2 different approaches for the carousel, which is to be expected. We talked about it early on. But you always have to be mindful about traffic. And sometimes you can... Ben Stutting! On the final corner. Turn 14, now he has to watch out as the cars are approaching. He's still somewhat slow. As we focus once again on the battle for P12 for a moment. Luke Slutz, P5, behind Zachary Liebold. Then has a 3-second gap to Bartosz Piasecki. John Duncan puts on some pressure on Clayton McBolla, who defends the inside as much as he can, saying, you go on the outside, mister, to give him an advantage to keep position number 9. But good exit from John Duncan, maybe? No. Slots in behind. Experienced driver Like I said, both of them race so often together, so they know the strengths and weaknesses of the other one. John Duncan, P10. And if you're James Pepper, you hope for a little bit of fighting so that you can get closer. Because when two argue, maybe the third one is the lucky one. Alex Murphy, 0.3 seconds, has gotten closer again, half a second in the last lap. And Blake Tovey, somewhat, not really pressure, but there is a presence, and as long as there's a presence behind you, you always have to think. Don't make a mistake, because that is a gap where a small mistake can cost you up to 2 positions, even because Gareth wins. Oh, there was an LMP3. I heard a crunching sound there as well. Ooh, watch out on the rejoin. This was Jack Davis, I believe. Let me confirm this. Yes, this was Jack Davis there in turn 12. Canada corner. Luke Slutz gets past Neil Todd. Currently driving in P4 has Zachary Liebold close to him. Bartosz Piasecki. Nice little fight of 3 LMP3s. 4, 5 and 6. Then there's a big gap to P7. 11 seconds. Then another big gap to Gavin Kelly with 16 seconds. Watch out, slow GT4. That's the thing also, when you're 2 LMP3s and suddenly the LMP3 in front of you takes the corner much slower than you because of traffic, you have to be ready to react or capitalize. Like I said, multi-class racing is stressful, but fascinating. Piasecki. Gap to Luke Slutz increased quite a bit now. Was closer not too long ago, as in last lap. Mike Murphy has the fastest lap for all GT4s at the moment, so the pressure is on. The gap to P2 is somewhat stable. Last time we talked about it was 6 seconds, now we are in 5.5 seconds, so it is similar. LMP3 gets past them. That was the class leader and race leader Łukasz Sipua. And Gareth Winslade. I talked about him wanting to get P13 back. He was in P12 earlier. Now he has the opportunity. Because now the roles between them have reversed. Now he is the chaser and no longer the chasee. So put on the pressure, make the driver in front of you think about you. Same goes for Bartosz Piasecki and Luke Slutz. Put him under pressure, make your presence known, drive him into making a mistake, go side by side. Good opportunity for Piasecki to get it done. Yes, Luke Slutz knew there is no sense in fighting like a madman. The first third of the race is over. Here we have Ewan Tupley. That was my cat throwing a bottle to the ground. Doesn't matter, we focus on the race. If I think you heard the bottle. Either way, we are in the second third of the race, so we are Luke Sloots, not good. Super far outside in the carousel, so losing also one position to Zachary Liebold. Also Gareth Winslet dropped to 18. Dropped to 18. We have not seen it on camera, but I can tell you it was a missed braking point into turn 1. But that cost him many positions. And now he's behind Chris Forrester. And needs to work his way back. I mean, yeah, of course, I say put the driver in front of you into making a mistake territory. But of course, the risk of doing the same thing to yourself is so high. You try to brake a teeny tiny bit later than you did the laps before, and suddenly an easy corner becomes a sudden, oh gosh, I understeer into gravel moment. And of course, if you are a GT4 driver in our scenario, sometimes you get into a situation where, okay, I'm about to prepare an overtake opportunity, and suddenly an LMP3 comes and ruins it for you. You have to expect these things. Winslet to the outside, Chris Forrester on the inside. We cut away as we are focusing on Ewan Tupley, who was maybe in a position to attack Marcin Rejewski. Oh, danger! Forrester, and who was the LMP3? I was not able to see it. Which one? It was... I think it was Matt Kunsley who he had the contact with. I mean, we saw it with the LMP3 already halfway in the grass. Never a good point where you don't want to be there. The LMP3 relies on downforce, and I never was the best student in physics classes, but grass and downforce are not friends. Xiao Tome in the pits. Behind him GT4 as well, so they open up the regular pit stops. We talked about it. Sometimes maybe you think about, maybe I drive off cycle a little bit to get some fresh air. Nobody around you. Bruno Gaiotto and Stephen Greening. Gaiotto had, both of them had big incidents in this race. John Duncan and John Cook. We have not seen the overtake done by Clayton McBullough. But the lap times tells us the story. 2:18.4 for Cook, 2:16 for the drivers around him, and now you know why Clayton McBullough is in front. We have not seen it, but we can see that it happened recently thanks to the lap times. Isaac Mitchell and Mike Murphy, and now the LMP3 has to wait. They are fighting for positions. He has to wait. costs him time, yes, of course. But this is the reality. Alex Murphy in the pits. One of the lead. Timon Slut's not ideal. Watch out with the rejoin. There is no car. Good. But yeah, Murphy earlier in the pits than Łukasz Sipua, so maybe he can get him with this method. Pit stop 1 of 2, remember that. Isaac Mitchell, and here is James Ellis out of the top 5 going into the pits. I mean, honestly, I'm glad that we see different strategies and not every car in every class does the exact same. I'm glad to see that. Which strategy is the best one? No clue. We will see. But what also comes, not only the fuel managing part, the tires. Do you change tires? If so, all 4? Only 2? Do you change only the fronts? Only the left ones? Many possibilities! Mike Murphy and Isaac Mitchell. And Murphy, that was costly. Losing positions to Mitchell, Ward and Godet, who we have not talked a lot about. I think the only 2 drivers in the top 10 of the GT4s we have talked less about are the 2 leaders. Because Michael Hansweig is 3 seconds in front, he has everything under control, and Matthew Hansel is super far away from P3. Now the LMP3s get into the pits. James Ellis, watch out, don't. Okay, at least no contact with the wall, but he just was in the pits. James Pepper, same story. Cold tires, question mark. Both of them do the same thing. Maybe cold tires. And both of them got surprised by them. Just a theory. Maybe a race theory. John Cook, Clayton McBullough and John Duncan, as if nothing has changed except that John got passed by Clayton once. But they are so close together. Meanwhile, Clement Godet now in the pits, as well as Mike Murphy. And here we have it. Cook and McBullough with John Duncan waiting in the shadows. John Cook gets it done, gets his position back. P5 at the moment, but the pit stops have begun, so we will see where they end up once the first wave of pit stops is over. Clayton, P6. Chasing John Cook, getting closer and closer. But here did you see? He knew, okay, not smart to dive in. Off the throttle, saving a teeny tiny bit of fuel in the process. And now, watch out, let them through. This was a bit costly for Clayton McBullough and John Duncan, good for John Cook. But usually, over the course of a race, it balances out. Jack Davis, he had at least one incident that we have seen, so he is in P15 behind Timon Slutz, who also had an incident. But yeah, what I wanted to say in the previous statement is, of course it annoys you when suddenly you lose a second because of traffic, but normally and usually it should balance out over the course of a race. Because if you are always the only one in your circle that gets negatively affected, you start to think, watch out, Mark Guinness and Isaac Mitchell, who goes to the pits, followed by David Ward. Was a bit spicy. But everything is okay. And now we see pit. I think the GT4s are empty. I mean, I expected this to be the prime strategy for the GT4s. Ooh, watch out there. Gareth Winslet almost into Matt Pierce. Ooh, Michael Poole, watch out! Into the wall. Luckily not that hard, but this could affect the drivability nevertheless. Davis chasing Timon Slutz. At the very least, for both of them, points should be on the table. I don't think that there are more than 20 LMP3s left running. I see P18 and 19 in the final corner. Is there an LMP3 in P20 on track? I don't think so. So 2 points is the bare minimum all of the LMP3s are getting out of this race. From one Slutz to another, Luke Slutz also under attack, but a bit further up the grid. His chaser is Mark Innes. Slutz just came out of the pits. Mark Innes pitted earlier. Watch out, this gives Mark Innes now an opportunity to overtake. Take a look at the timing table to see how it happens. Matt Pierce into the wall. In turn 1. And Blake Toby, we saw him for a moment. And Bruno Gaiotto! Chaos returns to the race. A race to forget for Bruno Gaiotto. From the first glance, not the GT4's fault, I would say. A bit too anxious from the LMP3 in my mind from the one camera angle we saw. But like I said, it is a race to forget. At the very least, maybe it is a learning experience. Blake Tovey. Those two have been together quite a bit in this race. Gareth Winslet spinning around, cold tires question mark. You have to think about it. So shortly after the pit stops, you have to think about it. Is it cold tires that take out those drivers in spins? Back to Blake Tovey and his mode of defense, because this is another thing. Okay, if you pit earlier, Luke Slow, oh, big impact, and that hurts in P6. P6, great result, but that LMP3 is damaged for sure. We can also see, look at the top 10 in the GT4 class. John Duncan got past Clayton McBullough in the pits. And now James Ellis is part of this BMW sandwich in his McLaren. Meanwhile, David Ward, Isaac Mitchell and Clément Godet, all three of them know each other pretty well. Have been racing together for quite some time now. So they know their driving style. Bartosz Piasecki behind Oliver Ettridge. The BMW makes room. Did not cost any of them. Because this, of course, is another factor. The GT4 cannot cast themselves away. They have a race to drive as well. So they annoy you if you're the faster car. Yeah, of course, like in this situation. Clayton McBullough. Oh, this is spicy. This is spicy. Oh! Ah, yeah, this was... Ooh, watch out there, Blake, Toby, and Patrick. I was fearing for the worst once I saw Carousel, 2 LMPs, and a GT4 in the middle. What a shame for Clayton McBullough. A fantastic race ruined. And from the first glance we got from that one camera angle, remember, we always get just the one camera angle, we only can judge by that. Maybe other angles would tell a different story. From that, I would take the blame is maybe the... Yeah, I use the word blame. I would set it on the LMP3 on the outside of that trio. Gavin Kelly losing a position after a mistake to Joao Tomé. James Ellis behind John Cook and in front of John Duncan. Timon Slutz and Jack Davis, their battle continues, and they got close to... Not only did they got close to Thomas Goebbels, they got past him as well. So Jack Davis at the moment in P9, but he had the incident early on, so he is driving off cycle. Big time. Meanwhile, Marion Hogevain and Bruno Gaiotto. Hogevain had that incident on lap 1, I believe it was. I think with Bruno. Goes a bit wide there. So maybe there is some history from the start of the race. And racing driver remember what happened to them. But yeah, 14 and 15, not the positions they wanted. Blake Tovey still under attack. They are together quite a bit the entire race, basically. Lovely racing. Same goes for Isaac Mitchell. Now, Clement Godet, good opportunity. Probably not the best last corner for Isaac Mitchell. But great lap from Clement to 15.6. John Cook chasing James Ellis. And one thing we have not talked about at all yet in these first 50 minutes almost. We are in the second half of the race, by the way. We have not talked about the incident limit. Of course, we have an incident limit which causes a penalty if you get over it. And as it is LoA tradition, it is on the, let's call it, harsher side, which is a good thing. I am all for it. But 20 points give you a drive-through penalty, which over a 90-minute race can be strict. Like I said, I'm all for it. I love it, because people that know me know my stance on the antiquated off-track system from iRacing, but we will not start the tangent right now. All I know is that we have almost 40 minutes left. I have talked for almost an hour non-stop. Please excuse me, I need a sip. Don't forget to hydrate. Isaac Mitchell wants his position back. Not like this. Sadly, the momentum was not there to slingshot past that Ford Mustang. They are 1.7 seconds clean of Mike Murphy and 6.6 seconds of James. Oh, no, 8 seconds, of course. 1.7 plus 6.4 equals 8. So at the moment, without a big incident, a top 6 finish for both of these fantastic drivers is on the table. But 38 minutes, a lot can happen. Lap 23 out of 40 for the GT4 class. And 45 laps for the LMP3s. I can't remember if I talked about it in the opening of the broadcast. If so, I repeated it. Not the worst thing after an hour. Gareth Winslade, P20. P90 now gets past Ryan Gibbard. In front of him is Neil Todd. Driving ill, I mentioned that. He's hanging in, and for that, good performance. Driving a 90-minute stressful multi-class race, Rich Meesters! Bang! That car has taken a beating tonight. And that is another factor in this race. You have many factors. First, the race length. 90 minutes, a little blinking issue there. The entire map was blinking there for a moment and only 2 cars were left. But we are back with all our technical equipment. But yeah, race length. It's a multi-class race. GT4s, you have to concentrate to drive. The incident limit. Overall traffic. And. Which is just a long way of saying our drivers are doing a fantastic job. Isaac Mitchell still looking. Ben Stutting, where is he? P16 in the gravel. This is where he is. And there's a car. This is Bruno Gaiotto and Gareth Winslade into the barrier after the carousel. There was no contact between them though. Ugh. The race started good for Gareth, running in P12. But now it is officially ruined. Mitchell putting on pressure. Lap times are still good even though they are fighting. Mike Murphy a tiny bit faster, yes, but 2:15s are fine laps. Absolutely fine laps. Now on the inside, there is an LMP3 somewhere around them. Ah, there he is! I was watching that on the minimap and was wondering where is the LMP3, but this LMP3, which was P6 João Tomé, he did the smart thing. I wait a corner. And then I do the overtake safely. Driving smart in such a long race can get you pretty far. You may not be the fastest in terms of lap time. Maybe you are in terms of lap time I don't know, 15, 16, still fine. But if you're not involved in incidents, your car is not damaged, you make no major error, suddenly the P15 pace driver is fighting for, I don't know, up to 8? Not saying that our guys in P8 are that fictional example I just placed. There we have overtake done. LMP3 on the inside. GT4 lets it open, stays on the outside. Even though the overtake attempt against Blake Tovey is done as a result. But like I said, you have to accept that fact. That sometimes, okay, I'm ready, I'm prepared. Okay, I have to wait and do it once again. It just happens in multi-class racing. Just stay focused. Gareth Winslade. I'm always worried when the camera cuts to a car driving on its own, because this usually means something is about to happen. And now he is a lapped GT4 and has to watch out. There's also an LMP3, so we will have a slow class and a slower version of that class, because Gareth Winslade probably thinks about, okay, how can I let them pass without ruining their fight? This is one way, driving into the gravel. I mean, everyone got past. But think about the incident limit. That was one off track. And especially with the contacts we saw in the beginning of the race, how close are our drivers to this limit? Sadly, this is something the iRacing replays do not save for our overlays, because I would love to have a number on the right of each driver that says 12, 11, 9. Ooh, what? Ooh, not good, not good. Saved it. But the GT4 behind him got the worst end of the stick. But he saved it. 214.9 by Michael Hansweig. Wow! Drives a 214 in race conditions. Impressive. John Duncan and John Cook. John Duncan in front, but he's on the outside, so maybe... Oh, look at this. He gets it done! He gets it done! So John Cook now in 9 and John Duncan in 8. But yes, as a result of the iRacing replay saving actually not a lot, which annoys me, because we could add so many cool things to our broadcasts with them, but if they don't save it, we can't use it. Bit late there by John Cook, but alright. Alright. Because imagine we see Duncan and Cook, and let's say Duncan is on a 18X. It makes something with you knowing that I'm very close to getting a penalty. I should watch out. It just makes something with you. Michael Poole, P12, goes to the inside and is in P11. Blake Tovey made a bit of a mistake, I believe, but in the end it helped him to stay there, because the car behind was a bit affected by it and got past as a result. But still, this ain't over. We are far from done. We have 29 minutes still on the clock. So a lot is still possible. Every driver needs one more pit stop. We have to keep that in mind. Speaking of pit stops, there is a car that went to the pits. It was LMP3. Bartosz Piasecki in P3 opens up the second round of pit stops. 28 minutes left. Yeah, 2:17.7. That was a mistake from Blake Tovey. And Michael Poole, 13th position gained. That's a lot. Started from last after setting no qualifying time. So P11 would be one hell of a result. But 28 minutes on the clock. Don't celebrate too soon. Marion Hogevain, P9, but I don't want to spoil the celebrations. I think he also is driving off cycle. So maybe that P9 is not what the actuality is. Thomas Goebbels and Isaac Mitchell. I talked about the LMP3 has to be safe when doing an overtake. That wasn't it. That looked late to me. And luckily for Isaac Mitchell, it only cost a little bit of time. But now Mike Murphy is in a prime opportunity at 2:17.2. That was costly. Murphy to the inside. This is for P5. The LMP3 has to wait. This is P2. Alex Murphy. I said, wait a second. I said the name Murphy about the GT4. No, we have two Murphys. One in the LMP3 and one in the GT4. Bartosz Piasecki and Zachary Liebold. Oh, wait a second. I think this was not a pit stop by Bartosz Piasecki. I think that was a penalty. I think this was the first drive-through penalty we've seen in this race actively. Because staying in P3 after a regular pit stop would be quite impressive. So that was a penalty. And now you probably ask, okay, driver has their penalty after 20 points. Are they done with it? Not so fast, cowboy. With 30 incident points, you get a disqualification. So you have to watch out. The leeway from after penalty to disqualification is not that big. One unlucky contact gives you a 4x, and suddenly we talk about only 6 left. And getting 6 off tracks in 25 minutes, definitely possible. Especially if your concentration gets lower and lower as the race goes on and on and on. Because remember, not every driver in sim racing is experienced with 90-minute multi-class races. So maybe concentration and overall, what's the word? Fatigue is a bit much, but yeah, let's use it. Let's use the word nevertheless, could factor in at the end. Suddenly you miss a braking point, you get a bit too far to the side, which you previously have not done, and you rack up off tracks as a result of simply being no longer as focused as you were 20 minutes ago. Michael Poole, Peel 11, yeah, nice try. P11 chasing Blake Tovey. He wants to get into the top 10. That would be an amazing result after starting from dead last. But Blake Tovey knows how to defend. There's an LMP3 behind. This is... Who is it? I think this is Bruno Gaiotto. It's a Missed Apex livery, or as their LMP3 team is called, Missed Shift. Was Bruno Gaiotto. Yeah, we have not talked about the teams at all. But yeah, we have teams of 2, and so the stables have to divide themselves between each other. So we have, for example, Cool Camel Racing Red, Blue and Grey as one example, and the other example would be the Missed Apex Motorsport crew, which are Missed Apex, Missed Opportunity and Missed Shift. Puns fully intended. But same goes for the Paddock GG crew with blue, black, red and white. And the Formulama stable, so... Because it would be a bit unfair. Okay, we have 8 drivers, we have 3. How should we compete in a team championship against you? Doesn't work, brother. "22 minutes left. And we have not talked about it in a long time, but look at the gap in the GT4 class between 1 and 2. It is getting a bit narrower. 1.6 seconds. We were at 3 seconds not too long ago. Last lap, Hansel lost 4 tenths again, but never know. Think about the tires. Maybe he had better tire management, which could be helpful at the end. Mike Murphy and Isaac Mitchell. This is still for P5. In front of them is Clément Godet. 2 seconds. You can see him a teeny tiny bit. And the third car in the top 3, we have not talked about him as well in a long time. This is David Wardy Ward, who is being chased by Clément Godet. Blake Tovey has to defend against Michael Poole in the kink down to Canada corner. Poole to the inside but stays behind. Just shows his presence. We talked about that factor earlier in the race. Be a presence, be a factor, make them think, make them make a mistake. The end. João Tomé, P7, the Brazilian. Blake Tovey, under attack from Michael Poole. One of the Paddock GG drivers. We talked about that stable. Oh, look how close he is. Right up there in his you-know-what. But he knew the straight is about to end. So I have two things to do. Either I dive bomb and risk a good finish, or I stay behind. Maybe he makes a mistake and I capitalize afterwards. Definitely the smarter choice. We also saw 2 cars in the GT4 class in the pits. P12 and 13 that was. Would have loved to see Blake Tovey versus Michael Poole. Tovey stays in P10 for the moment, but the pressure is definitely on. Speaking about pressure, I tried to hype up a potential fight for P1. The last lap ruined that for us. Matt Hensel lost 3 seconds there, so the gap is now 4.2 seconds. But you never know. There's still a chance. There's still a chance. Michael Poole. Maybe this will be decided in the pits. Maybe this will be decided in the pits as well. 18 minutes on the clock. Now 3 LMP3s get past. 1, 2, and where's the third one? Come, there he is. Perfect. You want to see them on the straight. Let's be real. You don't want them in your rear view mirror, in a corner. You want them easily. Just drive away on the straight. You don't lose time. I don't lose time. We all win. Back to the battle for the final spot in the top 10. Poole and Tovey. Team Blarp versus Paddock GG. Poole to the inside. Maybe he has it. Looks like it. And Mike Murphy, same story. No, not the same story here. John Duncan puts on pressure on James Ellis. 2:15.9 last lap. Here we have him. Driving for missed opportunity. Who knows? Maybe it won't be a missed opportunity. Went a bit wide there. James Ellis. We talked about the incident limits. Ryan Gibbard and Neil Todd. They are still without their second pit stop. We saw 2 GT4 cars that had it. Maybe we could add something for pit stops. I think about it. Maybe I find something within my assets to give us a better look, because the thing I found within my assets didn't seem to work properly, so I was not using it. But maybe I can find something for the next race. I'm looking into it. To improve the product and all that. Tovey, now he is the chaser, no longer the chasee. Put on the pressure on Michael Poole. You never know, maybe he's close to the incident limit. Clement Godet behind David Ward. We have not seen that in a long time, but here we have it. This is for the final podium spot. One thing that is pretty clear from our camera tool, and if we take a look at the timing differences in the top 10 between the LMP3s, the battles lie within the GT4 class. The closest quote-unquote battle in the top 10 of the LMP3s is 2.9 seconds, which is not really a battle. Maybe it can develop into one. Who knows? Ryan Gibbard, P15 behind Neil Todd, who is still fighting on despite driving with an illness. Clement got past David Ward and we have missed it. Great job, camera tool. We love you. But yeah, now Clement in P3. Rob Miller, he is in P5. And Ryan Gibbard thought about it. Stays behind. Our Australian hero. Driving for Formulama. His teammate Clayton McBullough had that massive incident in the carousel. Remember when he was in the middle of two LMP3s. João Tomé in the pits. Second pit stop for him. Good race. And now he needs a strong finish. And we also missed the overtake from Morty back to Godet. Thank you. I love it. Oh, I love it. But yeah, David Ward got P3 back. We have not seen it. But we see John Duncan and James Ellis. I used the word missed opportunity not too long ago, and he took the opportunity. Now has to defend the inside against the McLaren. Oh, good exit there by James Ellis. At least at first, but then he had that slide that cost him the momentum. And now see the BMW power. The initial exit of the corner was fantastic. But then the McLaren slided a little bit too much. And the opportunity was gone. The LMP3s go to their second pit stop. Murphy, Piasecki and Miller. 12 minutes left. Ellis and Duncan. Oh, Stutting! He was in right there early in the race. Here in Canada corner. This happened twice now. To him, I believe. Ooh, Luke Slutz takes out Matthew Hansel. Okay, he can drive. And now, is the car alright? First glance, I would say yes, but this is worst case scenario. Less than 12 minutes, easy in P2. And now you hope that the rear of the car is alright. If not, it will be long 12. No, wait a second. If the rear is damaged and Matthew Hansel still has his quick repair, it's not that bad. The word if is a big one though. We have an LMP3 in turn 1. We saw dust. It was P16. But yeah, the second set of pit stops. We can see the pit sign at 4 different cars at the moment. Ah wait, one of them is Matt Pierce in P23. 32 laps down. Never mind. Nevertheless, we are now in the second window for most of our drivers. But look what the incident has done to Matthew Hansel and his attempt of chasing Hans Weig. Gone. 12 seconds. This is gone. What a shame. But yeah, we talked about it. Be predictable as the slower car and be safe as the faster car. The 2 golden rules of multiclass. If both cars follow that rule at the same time, nothing happens. If one of those gets away from that rule a little bit, and we get into spicy territory. Bartosz Piasecki, P4. Driving on his own. Clayton McBullough. I mean, he is still driving and he's fighting for the final spot in the points, but I think he still has to pit, so maybe we are not talking about points after all, or a single point. At the moment, Rich Meesters has this. We'll get past Neil Todd for the moment, who's in the pits. But I would think that they need to pit as well. Isaac Mitchell, 0.4 seconds. We noticed that Clement had a wildly different strategy to the other cars in the upper pack. So he might be in P9, but watch out, he is actually fighting with those two for P3. Ward, Mitchell, Godet. This is the battle for the final spot on the podium. 8 minutes to go. And they still have to pit. Mitchell goes past. Is now in P3, but Henry Shepard in the carousel. At least no contact with the wall, only a time loss. McBullough and Neil Todd. Neil Todd just was in the pits, so at the moment 1 point for him. And like I said, I think Meesters and McBullough still have to pit. So maybe more than 1 point is on the table. And he probably hopes that those 7.5 minutes are done sooner rather than later, given that he's driving ill. So kudos to Neil to fight through it. Because it is a demanding task. Doesn't matter if you're 20, 30, 40 or 60. Driving ill in a 90-minute multi-class race takes a toll. Clayton McBullough, oh, not in the grass. Clayton, watch out. He wants to get past. This is now P19 because of a car in the pits. This was Henry Shepard. James Pepper, P16. Would be a good amount of points. 5. Not the worst thing in the world. But the race ain't over. Todd and McBullough. Points should be guaranteed at least for Neil Todd. Like I said, I think Clayton still has to pit. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before in the past. Look, a battle in the LMP3 class. When have we seen that the last time? Pepper on the outside. Will he lose his position? No, not yet. Question mark? He has to hang on. That's for sure. Maybe we will see... Yes, we will see more of it. As if the camera heard me. 5-minute warning. Forrester in the pits, so they gain a position. And there are 2 more GT4s in the pits. Now look at this. Really close to the wall. Watch out for cars exiting the pits. They are clear. Pepper. The Porsche is good on the brakes. Hangs on. Is behind now. And ooh, in the gravel. Gets the position. But there was contact. And he slows down. He slows down. Gives the position back. Says that was too much, I would assume. Gives it back. Fair play. After the contact. Mitchell. He is behind Clement Godet. But now we wait. Where is David Ward? He is in the pits. Where will he come out? Let's see. Please stay on it, camera. Please, I beg you. I hate you! Shepard, Topley, Wardy is in front of them. Into the wall, you and Topley in P12 and this... Oh, this looks bad. This looks bad. That could be a meatball. The front left looked bad. Duncan and Cook. The entire race. Mitchell and Godet for P4. And David Ward. 1.3 seconds is a good gap. Not a huge one, but a good one. But now, maybe now we have to think about the tires. Who has a tire advantage? Who has the better tires? And who does not? This could be deciding at the end of the race. 2.5 minutes. Plus, of course, change. John Cook, John Duncan, they are not done. Mitchell Murphy, they are not done. Godet gets away from them. A bit. Maybe. Probably not done because they are the slipstream and all that draft. So, not done. 4, 5, 6 is on the table for all of them. David Ward hopes that they start fighting. That would be best case scenario for the McLaren. Have a battle, lose time in it, and I secure P3. They are starting lap 39. If we take a look where the leaders are, 40 laps. So one more after this. Peppa. After the contact earlier in the race, it was 2 minutes ago. Ooh, watch out there. Oh, goes wide. The BMW goes wide. This is the opportunity for James Peppa. He gets P12 back. Capitalizes on it. Michael Poole in the pits. That's a penalty. That I know. You don't do a third pit stop this late in the race. This is a penalty. He will not lose a position though. It's just a drive-through, so he will stay in P11. And this ain't done either. So we have a lot. Oh, that was not good in terms of attacking. This may have been it. Final lap of the race for them, I would assume. But we are not done. Clement is catching David Ward. Matt Coonsley, P6. Should be safe in that. 17 seconds in front, 21 seconds in front, 20 behind. I should rather say, but oh, this ain't over as well. Not the best turn 3 from Peppa. And now the BMW power goes to the outside. As Peppa defends the inside. We know the brakes of the Porsche, but they're not that good. He overshoots the corner. Peppa loses P12. Peppa loses P12 after braking a bit too late. This is Bruno Gaiotto in P14. Nothing on the table for him in terms of positioning this late in the race. Checkered flag. Looks like a battle, is not a battle. The LMP3s are getting it done. But we are... Look what happened to David Ward. What happened to David Ward? He's in P6. He is in P6. We have missed that. Oh no, 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 no. I think we have to take a look at least at this one. That is huge. As everyone finishes their race. I will cut in after the race what happened with David Ward. A little bit of extra production value, but this is big. From 3 to 6 in the last lap. This is big for all the wrong reasons. But man, what a season opener. Neil Todd, P16, gets it done. Congratulations to surviving with a sickness. Man. And now we wait for everyone to finish their race. Will take a bit of time. But we have that time. But what happened there? David Ward. Either way, there are the results. There are the results. But now we take a look after all of this is done. Sorry for one overlay being on top of the other overlay. Nothing I can do there. Annoys me a little bit though. Either way, we are done. Those were the GT4 results. And here are the LMP3 results. Shipua wins, Murphy, Piasecki, 2 Polish drivers in the top 3. Congratulations to them. And one more page. There we have it. These were the results. Meanwhile, Shipua is celebrating the first win of the season in dominating fashion. But now, let's find out what happened to David Ward. And there we have it. What happened? And oh no. I think I know what is going to happen. In Canada Corner, this has to be... Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. On the oh, he loses the LMP3 loses it after diving into it too late on the final lap. Oh, I would be livid. I would be livid. What a shame, from 3 to 6 and without doing anything wrong. Oh, this hurts. This hurts. And before we go, we have to take a look at some standings. Yes, it is race 1. We saw the race results, so the championship standings should not shock us. But let's take a look at them anyway. Łukasz Sipua wins 51 points. Alex Murphy 42 and Bartosz Piasecki 36 points. Then Zachary Liebold, Rob Miller, Matt Consley, Gavin Kelly, Marion Hogevain, Joao Tome, and Mark Innes. P10, 12 points for him. Solid start to the season. If we continue, team on Sleuths, Mark Kelly, Jack Davis, and his teammate Bruno Gaiotto next to each other. Ben Stutting, Thomas Goebbels, Luke Sleuths, Ollie Attridge, Stephen Greening, and Aaron Denker gets the final point of the race. No points, sadly, for George Cross, Justin Maurice Weisbecker, and Sebastian Boivy. And what does this mean for the LMP3 team standings? Paddock GG Blue is leading in front of Paddock GG Black, 15-point difference. Then Lamageddon, Paddock GG Red, Paddock GG Green. Do you notice a pattern there? Stupid Aguri, one of my absolute favorite team names, I have to say. Paddock GG White, Mischief, Sleuths Unleashed, Cool Camel Racing, 12 points. And then a few more points we have for TP Joyblix Racing. Hopefully this is the intended way to say it. Risky Racing, 2 points. The White Rose Vikings get 1 singular points. And the only team without a point in the LMP3 class that participated in this race are Dragon Scale Racing, the team of Justin Maurice Weisbecker and Sebastian Boivy. And if we head over to the GT4 class, Michael Hansvik, 52 points, Matthew Hansel, 42 points, and Mike Murphy, 35 points. Then behind them, Clement Godet, Isaac Mitchell, David Wardy Ward, John Duncan, John Cook, James Ellis, the Triple J's, and Black Tovey, 12 points for him, the final one in the top 10. Then, if we continue, Michael Poole, 10 points, Patrick Gallick, 9 points, James Pepper, Marcin Rajewski, Ryan Gibbard, Neil Todd, Henry Shepard, Chris Forrester, Ewan Topley, and the last point went to Gareth Winslade. Without points, sadly, Rich Meesters, Clayton McBullough, Matt Pierce, and Thomas Bruin from the 24 drivers that have started the race. What does this mean for the GT4 class team championship? Simply put, pole position Motorsport 52, AITX Revolution E-Racing. Once again, if I say it, just tell me. I want to learn here as well. Team Blarb, same points as Nebulama, but Isaac Mitchell was the higher ranked driver, so I gave him the edge there. Missed Apex, Missed Opportunity, Cool Camel Racing Red, 22 points, solid for the first race. Paddock GG, Formulama, Full Throttle Racing, but we are not done yet. McLaren and the White Rose Vikings get 2 points as well. So yeah, 12 teams scored points in this opening race here at Road America. I enjoyed it, even though my voice is about to die after non-stop yelling for well over 90 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope you join us next time for the Limit of Adhesion. Not just the Endurance Race series, but also the Sprint series and the Prime series. All three are fantastic, I can tell you, after the first week. So stay tuned for more. You know what to do on YouTube to stay in touch with the league. I'm out. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you again soon for the Limit of Adhesion. Goodbye.